Few months after Chioma's mom died mysteriously while coming to pick Chioma up from school, her mom's elderly sister, who took over all her mom's property and promised to care for Chioma and send her to school, secretly sold her to a very dangerous ritualist. This man had only 7 days left to live and was desperately searching for a young girl to sacrifice to extend his life. But just as he was about to use Chioma for the sacrifice, something terrible and unimaginable happened. Something that shocked the entire town. Chioma was only 11 years old when her entire world fell apart. Her father died when she was just 2. So her mother had been everything. Her mother, her father, her provider, her best friend. Life wasn't perfect, but it was peaceful until the day tragedy knocked on their door. One afternoon, Chioma's mother, a hardworking and successful businesswoman, was on her way to pick Chioma up from school. While driving, her phone rang. It was her elder sister, Adane, calling with an urgent request. Adane's voice came through, filled with urgency. Please, sister, I need $1,000. It's something very important. Please, I beg you. Chioma's mother sighed. Adane, I don't have the money right now. I just paid for new goods this morning. I promised to send you something next week. I'm expecting some payment. But Adane's tone quickly turned bitter. That is what you always say. You think you are better than everyone because you are the most educated, the richest, the one everyone praises. But remember, nothing lasts forever. Chioma's mother was shocked. Why are you talking like this? Have I ever turned you down? Have I ever refused to help you? Yes, you always have excuses, but one thing I believe is this: those who are at the top today will be at the bottom tomorrow, and those who are down today will rise to the top. Life is turn by turn. Enjoy your so-called success while it lasts, because it won't last forever. Her words stung like fire. Chioma's mother's hands tightened on the steering wheel as her voice cracked with pain. What kind of hatred is this, Adane? What sort of deep envy are you hiding? I sponsored your first son through school until he graduated. When your husband kicked you out because of your bad behavior, I was the one who rented the house for you. I even gave you money to start a business. Money I worked day and night to earn. Tell me, have I not done enough for you? But Adane didn't flinch. And what does my son's education or my useless husband have to do with the money I asked you for today? She snapped. That was it. Chioma's mother couldn't hold back anymore. You are an ungrateful human being. I swear on everything I've worked for, I will never give you my hard-earned money to someone like you again. You are an ingrate. But just as she was about to hang up, Adane said something. Something that chilled her to the bone. Always talking about your business. Business is business that. You don't even know if you will live to see tomorrow to do that business. Death doesn't ask for permission. That final line cut deep. Those words, they echoed in her mind like a curse. Chioma's mother was so shaken by the hateful words. Her emotion overwhelmed her. She lost focus, and in the blink of an eye, a speeding truck crashed into her car. She died instantly. The entire town mourned. Everyone believed it was just another tragic accident, but no one knew the chilling and hateful conversation she had with her sister Adani just minutes before she took her last breath. When Chioma heard that her mother had died, her world fell apart. She was deeply traumatized. Her mother was everything to her. Her only parent, her best friend, her safe place. At just 11 years old, Chioma had lost the most important person in her life. After the burial, her mother's older sister, Adani, stepped forward in front of everyone. She made big promises. She said she would raise Chioma like her own daughter. send her to any level of school she wanted, and give her a good life. Her kind words gave Chioma a small sense of hope, and behind those promises was a hidden plan, a dark one. Soon after Adane took full control of all her late mother's property, she sold off some of it, moved her own family into Chioma's mother's house, and claimed everything for herself. That was when Chioma's nightmare began. Adane, the woman who promised to care for her, turned her into a housemaid in her own mother's house, while her cousins went to expensive private schools paid for with Chioma's mother's money. Chioma stayed home doing all the house chores, cooking, scrubbing, and cleaning from morning till night. But Chioma remained quiet and calm. Even in the face of harsh treatment, she was a gentle girl who believed that somehow things would get better. 8 months passed. Adane never enrolled Chioma in any school. Instead, she used all the money left by Chioma's mother to give her own children the best life. Meanwhile, Chioma lived like a stranger, unwanted, unseen, and unloved in the very house her mother built with love. One afternoon, Adane looked at 12-year-old Chioma and dropped a shocking statement. "You are an orphan now," she said coldly. "It's time you start working for your own survival. I have no money to care for you, let alone sending you to school." Chioma was stunned. With a trembling voice, she asked, but auntie, what about all my mother's properties you sold?" Adane didn't flinch. "I used all of that for your mother's burial," she replied. Chioma, still trying to understand, and asked again, "What about all the money that was in her account, the one you transferred to your own account that day?" Adane's face turned sharp. "Are you stupid?" she snapped. "Get up and go to your room and my children's room. Gather all the dirty clothes and wash them now." Chioma gently held her hand, showing a bandage. "Please, auntie, a knife cut my finger this morning while I was slicing vegetables. Can I use the washing machine instead?" Adane's voice thundered. "If you touch my washing machine, I will kill you myself. I want every single cloth washed by hand before my children return from school. Do you hear me?" In that moment, it became painfully clear to Chioma. She was no longer being raised. She was being used. One morning, Chioma couldn't hold it anymore. Tears streamed down her face as she sat in a corner, feeling forgotten by the world. Her heart ached with one simple desire: to go back to school. She had begged her aunt so many times. Again and again, she asked to be enrolled in any school, even the cheapest one. But Adane always said no, with no care in her voice. One day, something inside Chioma changed. She walked quietly to her room, opened her small box, and pulled out the only thing that reminded her of better days: her old school uniform from when her mom was still alive. It no longer fit perfectly, but she wore it anyway. She grabbed her school bag and with a deep breath stepped out of the house. Her plan was simple: go to her former school and report her aunt. Maybe someone there could help her. But just as she opened the gate and took her first step onto the street, Adane saw her and screamed her name. She rushed after her. Furious, Chioma ran. She ran as fast as her legs could carry her, heading straight for the busy road nearby. Just as she reached the expressway and was about to cross to the other side, a speeding vehicle came out of nowhere. People started screaming. The car turned sharply and the tire made a loud screeching sound. And in that terrifying moment, everyone feared the worst. The car that nearly hit Chioma came to a sudden stop at the roadside. A well-dressed man stepped out, his face full of concern. It was Chief Tony, a wealthy businessman known for helping orphans and the less privileged. He looked at Chioma with both shock and care. "Young girl, why were you running so carelessly across the busy expressway?" he asked gently. Through her tears, Chioma replied, "Ever since my mom died, my aunt has turned me into a slave. She refused to send me to school. I was trying to go to my old school to ask for help because I desperately want to go to school." Chief Tony was moved by her words. Without hesitation, he held her hand and said, "Come with me." He led Chioma back to her compound and knocked on the gate. When Adani came out, he stood tall and asked, "Madam, what exactly is your problem with this young girl?" Adani scoffed. "She refused to do her morning chores and insisted on going to school. That's the problem." Chief Tony calmly introduced himself. "I'm a philanthropist. I support orphanages, help children get an education, and even sponsor many to study abroad." He turned to Adani. "I'm impressed by this girl's determination. I want to take full responsible for her education and well-being. Would you permit me to take her?" Adani narrowed her eyes. "Wait, do you mean you want to adopt her?" "If that is what it takes, yes, I can adopt her," Chief Tony replied. A sly smile crept into Adane's face. "I prefer adoption though, because she's a big burden to me. How much are you willing to pay?" Chief Tony raised a brow. "How much do you want?" Adane didn't blink. $1,000, she said coldly. The exact amount she once begged Choma's mother for. The same argument that ended in the tragic accident that took her sister's life. After the deal was made, Chief Tony sent Adani the money without delay. With no hesitation, he took Chioma with him. Chioma, though sad to leave her mother's house, felt a spark of hope. She thought her suffering was finally over. She believed that the kind-looking man who rescued her was truly her saving grace. But she was wrong. What she didn't know was that she wasn't being rescued. She was being delivered straight into danger. Chief Tony was not the man he appeared to be. Behind his wealth and polished smile hid a dark secret. He was a powerful ritualist who had traded his manhood and even sacrificed his own wife for riches and long life. And now his time was almost up. He had just 7 days left to live. To extend his life, the dark powers he served gave him a chilling command. He had to sacrifice 3 virgin girls between the ages of 9 and 13. If he failed, death would claim him without mercy. Within days, he had already captured 2 young girls. All he needed now was one more to complete the deadly ritual. And that final girl was Chioma. That very night, Chief Tony made a terrifying decision. He would sacrifice Chioma before dawn to save his own life. While Chioma was peacefully sleeping, he crept into her room and blew a strange dark powder over her face. It was a mysterious substance that forced her into a deep, lifeless sleep. Without wasting time, he carried her and the 2 other girls, both barely conscious, to his secret occultic altar, hidden deep within the forest. As soon as Chief Tony, the ritualist, stepped into the occultic altar ground with the girls, something mysterious happened. A thick, terrifying darkness swallowed the place. The wind howled, the trees trembled, the air felt heavy, and even the ground seemed to growl. Suddenly, the Grandmaster rose with anger and shouted, "Where did you get this last girl?" "I adopted her," Chief Tony replied confused. "Fool! Return that girl immediately before this entire altar burns to ashes," the Grandmaster roared. "She is an enemy to our kingdom. Her presence has made the other 2 girls unacceptable." Chief Tony stood frozen. "Take all of them back now and find other girls. You have only 6 days left," the Grandmaster warned. Chief Tony left the altar furious, confused and scared. She couldn't understand why Chioma, just a 12-year-old girl, was powerful enough to threaten a kingdom of darkness. But something greater was working with her. The next morning, a deeply disturbed Chief Tony took Chioma's photo. and rushed to a powerful spiritualist, hoping to understand who she truly was. As soon as the spiritualist laid eyes on Choma's image, his expression changed. He stayed in silence for a while, then slowly lifted his head and said, "Hmm, this girl is not an ordinary child. Her spirit is mighty, pure, fierce. It carries a divine energy that violently resists and fights every unclean spirit." He paused, then continues, "Because of her, your sacrifice will never work. The spirit will never accept it, no matter how desperate you are." Chief Tony fell to his knees. "Wise one, please, I have less than 6 days to live. What should I do?" The spiritualist's voice turned grave. "You have only two options, oh. First, if you send the girl away, you will still die because your sacrifice has already been marked and rejected. Second, and this is your only hope, listen to the girl. Follow her every instruction because right now she is your savior. Your fate is in her hands, not the other way around. Obey her and you will live and save. Ignore her, you will die. The choice is yours." Chief Tony left the shrine more confused than ever, his pride wrestling with fear. But instead of heeding the warning, he hardened his heart and refused to obey the spiritualist. He still believed he could find another way, but time was running out. 3 days later, Chief Tony returned to the occultic altar with three more virgin girls, hoping to complete the sacrifice and escape death. But once again, the ritual failed. The Grandmaster's eyes burned with anger as he thundered, "You fool! There's a mysterious power force in your house, an unshakable spirit that fights against our altar. That spirit is blocking the sacrifice." At once, a cold realization struck Chief Tony. His mind flashed back to what the spiritualist had told him. The warning about Chioma. Her presence alone had tainted his offering. He rushed back home, his heart pounding. When he saw Chioma seated quietly, reading an old book in the corner of the room, he just stood there watching her. For a long time, he said nothing. Then, in a voice barely above a whisper, he asked, "Who, who are you, little girl?" Chioma looked up gently, her voice calm but firm. "Sir, I am Chioma, the orphan you adopted." Her eyes held no fear, only truth. As Shiftoni turned to walk away, still stunned and searching for answers, Chioma's voice floated through the silence like a whisper from another realm. "Sir, turn away from your evil. You have only half a percent of life left. You are already 99.5% dead." Chief Tony froze. Her words pierced his soul. He turned to look at her again, with terrified eyes, but his heart pounded like a war drum. His mouth was heavy, too heavy to speak. He quietly walked away, shaking to his core. That night, Chief Tony tossed and turned in his bed. Choma's word echoed relentlessly in his mind, making it impossible for him to sleep. He felt suffocated, trapped by the weight of his impending doom, unable to beat the torment any longer. He sprang out of bed and walked quietly to Choma's room at 3 a.m. His heart raced as he knocked softly and entered. "Please, my daughter, I want us to talk." His voice trembled, filled with both respect and fear. Choma stared, looking up at him with calm eyes. "Okay, go ahead, sir." Chief Tony sat down, his words heavy with desperation. "How do you know that I am closer to death?" Choma met his gaze with unflinching certainty. "Sometimes I see beyond the physical," she said. "That moment my eyes opened and I saw how your evil deeds have pushed you into darkness. I also had a dream where you were in a coffin, buried deep inside the dug grave, and people stood around, waiting to bury you." Chief Tony shuddered at the vivid imagery. He clasped his hands tightly, his voice quivering with urgency. Please, my daughter, what can I do now? My life is in danger. I have just today and tomorrow left to live. Chioma spoke with quiet strength. Very simple. Repent from your evil ways and God will restore your life. Chief Tony, torn between disbelief and desperation, pleaded, how can I do that? Chioma nodded slowly, then said, today is Sunday. Pack everything you know that is evil in this house. Let's take it to the church. Chief Tony hesitated, but as he remembered the warning from the spiritualist and the chilling realization that he was already a dead man, he decided to follow Choma's instruction. Hours later, Chief Tony stood in the church, holding all the items that had been given to him by the occultic kingdom. The man of God's sermon felt as though it was speaking directly to him, every word cutting through the fog of his guilt. It was as if God personally addressing his soul. When the service ended, Chief Tony confessed his sins, laying down the occultic items with a sense of relief and shame. He surrendered his past and his evil ways. The man of God prayed over him, and after the prayer, he gave Chief Tony a final instruction. Do not return to your house, chief. Stay here in the church. Fast and pray for 7 days. Seek God's mercy and redemption. Without hesitation, Chief Tony obeyed. For 7 days he fasted and prayed in the church, seeking forgiveness and guidance. At the end of the week, he felt as if a heavy weight has been lifted from him. His soul was lighter, his spirit free. When he finally returned to his house, he expected destruction, perhaps even the loss of everything he owned. But when he arrived, everything was still in place. He looked around in disbelief. I thought I was going to die or lose everything. He muttered to himself. The man of God had told him that God was the giver of life and that all power belonged to him. But when he entered the secret room where his occultic altar had once stood, he saw something that took his breath away. Everything, the altar, the dark symbols, the object of power had been completely burnt to ashes. In that moment, Chief Tony knew that his life has been restored. He had been given a second chance. From that day forward, Chief Tony lived a life of joy and peace, surrounded by love and grace. Choma, his adopted daughter, became his guiding light, his protector. Months later, Chief Tony made the decision to sell some of his properties and relocate abroad, starting fresh with Chioma by his side. Together they built a new life, one of happiness, love and redemption. After Chioma and adoptive father Chief Tony relocated abroad, their lives blossomed with peace and purpose. Chief Tony, once a man trapped in darkness, was now a testimony of redemption. Chioma, the girl who had unknowingly carried divine fire in her spirit, was thriving in a new land, safe, joyful and unstoppable. But thousands of miles away, in Nigeria, something dark was unfolding. Adanne, Chioma's aunt and the woman who had once pretended to care while secretly plotting her own sister's death, was being tormented night after night. Every time she closed her eyes to sleep, the same terrifying scene played. Then one night, something terrible happened. Adanne had just laid down when the air in her room turned icy cold. She tried to rise, but her entire body locked. Her eyes remained wide open, frozen, helpless. From the shadows, her sister stepped forward. She walked slowly and sat at the edge of her bed. Her voice was calm but thunderous in Adanne's ear. Adanne, where is my daughter? Adanne would jot out of fear, panting, sweating, heart racing. The dreams were so real that sometimes she would run outside in fear. Her children thought she was losing her mind. She went from one spiritualist to another, native doctors, even prophets, paying heavily, fasting for days, bathing in river, but nothing worked. The torment grew worse. Then one night, something terrible happened again. Adani had just laid down when the air in her room turned icily cold again. She tried to rise, but her entire body locked. Her eyes remained wide open, frozen, helpless again. From the shadows, her sister stepped forward. Not a dream, reality. She walked slowly and sat at the edge of the bed. Her voice was calm, but thunderous in Adani's ear. Tell me what you did to me and my family. Adani screamed this time for real and tumbled off the bed. She crawled toward the door, but it slammed shut. Her children heard the scream and rushed in. What they found horrified them. Adani unconscious, foam dripping from her mouth. She was rushed to the hospital. For 7 days, she lay in a coma. The doctors couldn't explain it. Tests showed nothing. Machine said she was fine, but her soul wasn't. On the seventh day, she woke up, shaking, weakened, but desperate. She called for her children and with trembling hands begged, take me to my father's house. I want to confess. They drove her to the village the next morning. There, surrounded by her entire family, Adane collapsed to her knees and began to weep. What she said stunned everyone. I killed my younger sister and her husband. Gasps, tears, silence. Then Adani continued, her voice broken by shame. I was the one who killed my younger sister and her husband because I was jealous of her success. She married a rich and responsible man, while I married a lazy man with an average life. I started secretly hating her when I saw how much better she was doing than me. Our family loved and respected her more. They always asked for her opinion before making any big decision. I was jealous of how well she cared for everyone in the family. I killed her husband first, thinking it would bring her down, but she still continues to do better than me in every way. My secret hatred for her kept growing. I didn't plan to kill her at first, but when she told me she wanted to buy an estate the next year, I couldn't hold my envy anymore. I plotted and killed her. Adane later confessed and the family cursed her for what she did. Chioma's mom was the heart of the family. Every year without fail, she bought and shared lots of food and other items with every member of the family. At the end of each year, she held a family party where everyone comes together to eat, dance and celebrate. But after Adane killed her out of jealousy, all of that stopped. When Adane's first son came back to town and found out what his mother had done to the aunt who had sponsored him in school until he graduated, he disowned her immediately. Her family threw her out of the house she inherited from her sister. They seized every property that once belonged to the sister she killed. One by one, her children abandoned her. Neighbors avoided her. She was labeled a curse. From affluence, Adane descended into beggary. No one wanted to touch her, talk to her or help her. She survived on food from waste bin. Her clothes were torn. Her voice echoed in the street as she spoke to invisible shadows. One day, Chioma asked her adoptive father, Chief Tony, why he joined an occultic group. He replied, my dear, I was doing fine in life, but my late wife never gave me peace. She kept pressurizing me to make more money and always compared me to her best friend's sugar daddy, not knowing he was secretly involved in rituals. No matter how much money I gave her, she complained. She said she needed a car, so I used all my savings to buy her one. But even then, she wasn't satisfied. She said the car wasn't good enough and compared to the expensive one her friend got from her ritualist. One day, out of frustration, I went to that ritualist for advice. That's when he introduced me to the occultic group. When I joined, they demanded a sacrifice. They told me to choose between my wife and my mother. I didn't think twice. I chose my wife. My mother was innocent, but my wife's attitude is what pushed me into the dark path. So I sacrificed her immediately. Chioma took a deep breath and said softly, Daddy, I may not fully understand everything you went through, but I thank God for pulling you out of that darkness. She must have made your life difficult, but I am grateful you are no longer a member of that evil group. What matters now is that you've changed and God gave you another chance. I pray He continues to guide and protect you. A few months later, Adani ran into the market, naked and wide-eyed, laughing, crying and shouting. She had gone mad, completely mad. The woman who once destroyed light out of envy was now consumed by her own darkness. Meanwhile, across the seas, Choma and Chief Tony flourished. He had become a humble, joyful man. Choma had opened a foundation in her mother's name, helping orphans and widows. Their story became a beacon of hope. Envy destroys more than it ever gains. What you do in secret will one day be shouted on rooftops. No evil deed goes unpunished. Repentance is the only way out. Never find someone carrying divine purpose, cause you will always lose. God always protects his own, even in silence. Thank you for listening to this story. If you haven't subscribed to this channel by now, I don't know what you're waiting for. Please subscribe to this channel for more interesting and educative stories. Turn on the notification bell so you'll be notified when new stories are being dropped. Like and share this video. And please comment what you think about the story. I would like to read them. See you in my next one. God bless you.